Hi everyone, Kristina here. Welcome to another Make a Card Monday video. I'm going to be continuing with my Make a Card Monday return, and today I'm going to be using some products from Simon Says Stamp. I have the stamp set that's included in the July 2019 card kit here, and I thought it'd be really fun to create sort of a one-layer watercolor card using some of the images and elements from this stamp set. By the way, this stamp set is called Be Yourself, and it does come in the kit, but you can get it outside of the kit as well. I'm going to be using just the stamp set today, and but there are tons of other products including sequins, a die, pattern paper, awesome pattern paper from Honeybee, really great patterns, but today I'm going to focus on the stamps. All right, I'm going to start out by doing stamping on some Bristol smooth paper from Strathmore, and I'm using this paper in particular because I'm going to be using some Zig clean color real brush markers, just a couple of them to do the background, but I want to make sure that I have the right type of paper that's going to help the color spread. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm planning to use the You're the Bee's Knees sentiment, and it's going to be kind of centered on the front of this card. So I'm going to take this clear transparency sheet from Simon, and this just helps me get the words lined up just right so I can put them over top, get them centered, looking really good. Then I can close my MISTI, and it pulls that transparency grid over here, and I can just peel that off. So I'm actually going to stamp this first and emboss it. So I'm going to prep the area with an anti-static powder tool. Anyway, so I'm using some Versamark ink. And there we go. And the embossing color I'm going to use today is Gilded from Brutus Monroe. It's a nice gold shade. I'm not going to put the embossing powder away because I'm going to do more heat embossing before I move on. I'm switching from the front to the back just to help it from warping too much. All right, so there's the embossing. I'm going to do some more stamping. This time I'm going to be using the little hexagon pattern shapes. So I might have to stamp this twice and do some creative placement of things. Sprinkle on that embossing powder. By the way, this is a, what did they call it? A triangle tray from Studio Katya. It's my first time trying it with embossing powder, but my friend Jennifer really loves it, and she recommended it. So I thought, I'll try it, and I'm kind of liking it so far. Okay, I'm going to make sure to clean off this hexagon stamp again before I use it, because I don't want, even though I'm going to be using the same ink, I don't want to, put it down onto my project, kind of move it around a little bit and then stamp it, because any of the residual Versamark left on the stamp will actually leave marks on the paper, and then the embossing powder will stick to it. So I want to make sure that this is nice and clean. It's not going to leave any additional marks. I'm going to use the anti-static powder tool again, once again, just to be safe. Then I'll ink it up with Versamark and stamp again. Okay, I'm liking this so far, but I think I might want to add one more of the little hexagon stamps. There's just this little grouping that I think would look great right up here at the top. Same embossing powder. And another piece of Bristol, I'm going to stamp one of the little bees. I'm really loving the one with the glasses. So I'm going to stamp, I just need him in a corner somewhere so I can paint him, and then I can cut him out and save the cardstock for additional projects. So I'm going to stamp him in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. It's a nice waterproof ink. Before I paint the main area of the card, I'm going to tape it to a board. And when I eventually paint the little bee, I won't tape it to a board because I'm painting such a small section. But this is the entire card front, and I'm planning to add quite a bit of water. And also because I did all that embossing, the paper's a little bit warped right now. So I actually have the opportunity to help straighten it out when I paint it, because the water will soften the fibers of the paper, and then as it dries, it will be taped down and flat, so it will encourage the paper to go back to its flattened state. I honestly have no idea if that is actually scientifically correct for what is happening, but I like to think in my mind that that's what's happening. Okay, decided at the last minute I'm not going to use these yellows that I was going to use before. Instead, I'm going to use these two colors, which are turquoise green and light blue. I'm going to use a number 6 round brush and just a little bit of water. And I'm also going to have paper towels on hand because this could get really wet, and I want to make sure that I can like sop up any water if I need to. So I'm going to start, let's see, starting with the lighter blue, and I'm just going to like come across and do a little of this, and then immediately come in with a wet brush and kind of spread that out. I don't want the color to be super intense anywhere. In fact, let's zoom you guys in. Add some more color over here. Maybe I'll take it up in here. Just squiggling everywhere. I'm not being super precise. And then coming in with that wet brush and get the color moving. I'm going to hit this with my heat tool. I'm not going to leave it on here for too long because I don't want to melt all that embossing powder. All right, now I'm going to come in with the turquoise green, and I'm just going to do some little areas of color. And I want to move fairly quickly as I add this on, because I don't want that marker color to really sit too long in one place. I'm going to dry this again, and I think I might even introduce a darker blue. Okay, I'm bringing in peacock blue, and I think I want it a little right there. This is really going to get that color moving. I wasn't planning on having such intense color, but I think this blue is going to be really pretty. And then I'll bring it down in here. Making sure I'm hitting the grading down here enough so that that gold really stands out on top. All right, I think that's really flattened out quite a bit. Like it's really flat right there in the center. It looks really pretty when it catches in the light. All right, I'm gonna paint the little guy right here real quick. And I'm happy that I chose to do the background in blues and greens, because then I can do him yellow and black. So it'll look real great. I'm purposely going to paint him all in with all the yellows first, because once I start adding the black, it'll be really hard to contain it and not have it spread everywhere. So I'm going to be super careful. All right, the two yellows I'm using are bright yellow and lemon yellow. I'm even going to bring in some light carmine and do just some little rosy cheeks on him. All right, I'm going to take the darker of the yellows and color in his nose. All right, I think I'm ready for the gray and black. I'm going to do just a tiny bit of gray on his wings. I'm going to do just plain gray. And I'm just going to put a little bit of gray right underneath there and along the sides. Not a whole lot, just a little bit, just so then I can spread the color out. And as soon as that's dry, we are ready for black. So I'm going to hit this with my heat tool to speed up the drying. I forgot, I'm going to make his little stinger yellow. So I'm going to add black to the sides and then use a damp brush to bring that toward the center. That'll give me just a little bit of shading. So color on each side, and then a damp brush, just kind of rubbing the color. I'm going to dab off my brush to get rid of that color, and then bringing it in to meet in the center. I can always darken this up again later if I want to. Alright, now here's the fun part. I get to do some fussy cutting. I'm cutting this out with a little bit of a border, just so I can keep the really skinny arms and his little antenna. Okay, so there's our cute little guy. And with this leftover Bristol paper, I'm going to take a couple of the little heart stamps, or all 3 of the little heart stamps in the stamp set. And I'll be stamping these in VersaFine. I'm going to use light carmine. Actually, this is a pigment ink and it takes a little time to dry, so I'm going to hold the paper with some tweezers and hit it with my heat tool to speed up the drying. I'm going to use light carmine, and I'm just going to add quite a bit of color on each one of these and then spread it out using a damp brush. Alright, before it dries, I'm going to come in with purple. This is a color I really love with the light carmine. So I'm peeling off the tape from the background that I stamped and painted, and then I'm going to trim it down so that it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and adhere that to a card front. I'm scoring the white cardstock that comes in the kit with a score buddy and a Teflon bone folder. I'm also using some Tombow Extreme adhesive to adhere my watercolor panel to the card front. Alright, and it's nice and flat. I think taping it down while I worked and all that really did help. Before I assemble it, I just need to cut out these little hearts. I'm going to use some little foam squares from scrapbook adhesives to adhere these, and I'm just going to cut them into smaller pieces so that I can get them on the back of this little bee a little bit better. Alright, before I adhere them, I'm going to sort of get these placed where I want them to be. I think that placement will be perfect. That's the video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. This was super fun to make. I love how it turned out. And don't forget to check out the card kit over at simonstamp.com. You can pick up the full kit or just the stamp set. Either way, thanks so much for watching. I've got 2 more or 3 more videos on screen for you. These are some card ideas using some more recent card kits from Simon. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of my videos again. Well, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.